I'm Suzanne Sibylla. I'm the owner of Sibylla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot. Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sibylla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I'm super excited to bring this guest on our show. She is absolutely amazing. I know you're going to love her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She has a background as a speaker, world-renowned speaker, entrepreneur, change maker, and filmmaker, and she was also a U.S. Senator for the state of Washington. How incredible is that? Welcome to our show, Mona Das. Woo! Let's go. Hearts and flames for Mona. Let's go, Mona. Woo! So glad to have you on the show.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
That's so great. Thank you for being here. Well, we want to know what your biggest pivot was. And I know it was becoming a U.S. Senator. I know that. So tell us the story about it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be here and to be connected with your audience. I'm just so excited to share my story about pivoting. And I will say, I'm like the pivot queen. I always say,
hey, I'm the pivot queen. That's my name, pivot queen.
That's why we love each other so much. I mean, I will say, I kind of have said in the past, like I have reinvented myself so many times. Back in the day it was Madonna that used to reinvent herself, and now it's sort of like Taylor Swift. And so I feel like I've just reinvented myself so many times because, truthfully, I just get bored and I need to do new things. So this particular pivot that I'm going to talk to you about today was how I became a state senator for the state of Washington. I have a crazy beginning because my family came to America from India when I was 8 months old with $6.
Wow.
So to be an immigrant to this country with such little humble beginnings, to then become a senator for the state of Washington, and my legacy is the amount of bills that I passed and the type of bills that I passed. So I passed 28 bills in 4 years.
Oh my gosh. Incredible.
Is kind of unheard of. Some of my colleagues passed 0 or 1 a bill a year, and I was passing, 6 or 8 bills a year. So, and I will say that my most proud accomplishments were that I banned plastic bags for the state of Washington. I also banned styrofoam and all single-use plastics. And my legacy part of that is that our bills were, because Washington state is so incredibly progressive, that we get these bills passed, that many of my bills or parts of my bills have now been implemented in California and Oregon and Hawaii and New York and Illinois. And so that legacy of the work that we did is now being duplicated in multiple other states and will continue, I believe, until we get these laws passed federally, which would be so exciting. So that's sort of my most prized accomplishments of being in the Senate. But let me tell you how I got there, because the story is even more awesome. So I don't know about you, but I do my best thinking in the shower.
Yes, me too.
Many people wonder why. And I will tell you, it's Oprah Winfrey that shared that I heard one time, where she says that it's complete sensory deprivation. So when you're in the shower, typically you're in there alone. You don't have your dogs and your pets and your spouse and significant other or children or other people in the shower with you. So it allows that freedom of time and space. And then you have the water that's coming down, and it is muffling all other noise, including, the thoughts that you have in your head sometimes. And so that idea of that complete sensory deprivation is why many of us do our best thinking in the shower, because it is that time and space that you have to like kind of let your thoughts roam. So this idea came to me in the shower, and I was visiting my brother at the time, and I got out of the shower and I said to him, I'm going to be a senator.
Wow.
And we just laughed. I was with his girlfriend, now my sister-in-law, and we just laughed because I'm so very classically Indian. Half my family are doctors, the other half are engineers. And so for me to even utter this word that I was going to be a senator was absolutely preposterous and ridiculous and made no sense. But I'll tell you, Suzanne, it's that dream that I had. And I know we have them. I call them BHAGs, big, hairy,
Yes.
audacious goals.
Mm-hmm.
And there's those dreams that we put on the shelf because, excuse me, there are those dreams that we put on the shelf because they're absolutely ridiculous. They make no sense for where you are in your time. But to me, it's that North Star. How do I get there?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's not a dream that I worked on every day. I mean, I put it on the shelf for years. And one day, many years later, I'm walking my dog. And my dog Cleveland actually had more energy than me, believe it or not. And when we would stop, if we would stop for any reason, he would bark and pull on the leash, like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And this one particular time, I'm walking down my street and I saw a sign. It was literally a yard sign. And it said, Pramila Jayapal for Senate. And I will tell you, looking at that sign, Suzanne, I knew four things immediately. I knew one, she was Indian. I knew second, it was a woman. I knew third, that it said Senate. And I knew fourth, and most importantly, I knew in that moment, if she could do it, I could do it. And this is why I believe representation truly matters, because you cannot be it if you do not see it.
So true. That
And
that
in
gets a flame. That gets a flame. Flame in a
and in
heart. That's
and in
yeah.
this moment, I
Yep.
knew that. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
representation matters. And that's why I speak on, any podcast I'm invited to. Thank you for inviting me to your show, because I want this story to get out there. I want more people to see someone that looks like me as an elected leader, as a politician, because most politicians, let's be clear, look the exact opposite of me.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, Cleveland is barking and pulling, and I probably was there for maybe 3 minutes, maybe five, maybe it was 30 seconds. I don't know. But I was crying. No, actually, I was bawling because I did not think my dream was possible. That my crazy dream, my BHAG, I didn't even think it was possible until that moment. And that moment was life-changing for me. And now Pramila is obviously, a good friend of mine, and she's actually now a congresswoman in DC, and she's doing really great things, and we've remained friends. But that moment of that representation truly mattering. And I want to tell you the end of this story because it's absolutely so profound and so powerful. I mean, I cannot believe, you can't make this up. You just can't make this stuff up. So I get to Olympia. Not only did I run many years later, it wasn't right away. I I found out that there's all these training programs for women to run for office. And because I'm an overachiever, self-described, I
Uh-huh.
didn't do one program or two. I did 5 training programs that
Wow.
trained people to run for office.
Oh my gosh.
And they're out there, right? And so, and this is
Mm-hmm.
true for any of your audience that wants to do their crazy thing. There is a training program out there for you, whatever your BHAG is. It doesn't have to be obviously political office. And so not only did I decide to run, not only did I win, but I actually flipped a seat. And for those of you not in politics, it is extremely difficult. That means I took my seat from one party to my party and literally flipped a seat, which is absolutely impossible. And I didn't get there just trying or just imagining that I did it or manifesting it. I knocked on 8,000 doors personally
Wow.
to make
Wow.
that dream happen. My campaign knocked on 30,000 doors. And so that's how you make real change, is like you get out there and meet community. And in my community, it was so important for me because in my community, there was 138 languages spoken in my district, in the school district, and I knew that there are little Monas out there, right? Little tiny
Mm.
immigrants that came from other countries that also didn't see themselves in political or any kind of leadership. I didn't see myself in any kind of leadership role for years, right? And so that's to me why it's so important for folks like me to get out there and share our stories, because I want to give hope to the next generation or even my current generation that they can still live their dream. I mean, I ran for office when I was in my 40s, and many people, don't get into politics until later in life. So it's always possible, whatever your
That's
dream
such a
is, no
great
matter
story. I
how old
love
you are.
this story. It's such an amazing story and so inspirational and so motivational as well.
Thank you.
Incredible, incredible. I
So
mean,
the end of
yeah.
this story is even crazier. So I will
Uh-huh.
share with you. So because my last name starts with D, there were six new of us, but I got to pick first as I was alphabetically, you know, in the front. So I got to view all the six offices, and I will tell you the funniest thing, we actually picked the smallest office. And the reason is I was with my chief of staff at the time, and the reason is because our capital in Olympia, which is our state capital, looks very much like the Washington D.C. Capitol. There's a dome, the House is on the right, the Senate's on the left, and we picked the office that had the view of the dome because we knew that there were going to be super duper really really hard days, and we wanted to be reminded of that dome, which represented to me all the constituents that voted for me, that sent me to Olympia, and the ones that didn't send me there, even the ones that couldn't vote, because they were immigrants, or they were on the political opposite side. I mean, I was there to represent my entire district, not just my political beliefs, right? So I really 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 wanted to see that office. And so here's where it came. So about 2 weeks into our being in our office, somebody came into my office and said, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing that you're in this office. It's Pramila Jayapal's old office."
Oh, wow. Wow. That is amazing.
You can't
Oh my
even
gosh.
plan this. You
That's
can't
like, wow.
you you can't even make this up. Like, you can't even plan it, right? Like, I had this dream whatever 10 years or so before, see this woman's sign, and now I'm in her, she used to be in the state senate obviously before she went to Congress, and so now I'm in her old office, and it's just like, this is the point of the story, which exactly your reaction, Suzanne. It's like your jaw drops, the hair on your arms raise, and it usually brings me to tears, because I still can't believe that you can't even, and I'm a big manifester, I call it manifesting, and
I love it.
you can't even make this up. You can't. Like, you can't even plan it like that. And so that to me is the power of intention. That to me is the power of living your BHAG. That to me is the power of dreaming. And that to me is the power of putting one foot in front of the other, and, continuing to go. And that's
Wow.
that's the story of my
That
pivot.
brings tears to my eyes. I mean, that just right there in my heart. I
Yeah.
mean, I just feel chills. I
Yeah.
really do. That is such an amazing story.
Thank you.
I just, it's so incredible. I mean, I can just see you in that
Yeah.
office
Yeah.
when you're describing that. I can imagine you must have been like, oh my God, this is really happening. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're in her
Yeah.
office and you saw that sign. Amazing. Like you said, you cannot make these
You
things
you
up.
can't make it up. Well, and the best was when I actually got
Wow.
to tell her, because she used to do fundraisers for me all the time, and so we were on a Zoom doing a fundraiser. It was during COVID, and I said to her, I was like, "Pramila, you're not going to believe this," and I told her, and I said I was in, and she goes, "You were in Jack 230?" Like, she remembered the exact office number. I'm like, "I'm in Jack 230." She's like, she couldn't believe it either, because you just can't make that stuff up. It's
Yeah,
really,
and the whole story of how you saw the sign,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that was a sign for you to do what your BHAG,
yeah,
to live out that dream.
yeah,
Wow, incredible.
yeah.
So what advice would you give us, our audience who have a big, a dream out there, a big desire, and want to pivot in their life and are scared or fearful, what
Yeah.
would you suggest? What would you
Well, I will
recommend?
say this. If you feel it in your heart so deeply that you need to make this pivot, I found my friends and family didn't understand. I mean, I had a
Mm,
successful business, I was doing great, everything was going perfectly, and friends and family very close to me had no idea. And when people tell you you can't do something, what they're saying to you is they can't do it.
so true. So true.
And so I had to literally put blinders on and
Mm,
move forward without the support of the friends and family that I thought would support me the most. They weren't there. And I had
mm,
to do it anyway because it was a deep, deep desire that was in me, that was an internal burning flame. And once I made, and I'm a very decisive person, once I make a decision, it's like go time, right? And then
mm-hmm.
it's like get out of my way. And because I consider myself a super connector, I just started using my network. At that time I didn't have a political network, but I knew one person that was in politics, and I called that person and I said, "Hey, help me." And from there introductions were made, and then it just, so my advice, back to your question, is you have to believe in yourself. You have
Mm-hmm.
to decide
Mm-hmm.
for you, if it is that important to you. You have to just block out the naysayers and remember that they can't do what you're about to do. And that doesn't mean anything about what you can do.
So true, so true, so true. That's a flame right there, a flame in a heart. So true. It is so true because I mean, so many times we have these, as you said, big, hairy, audacious goals out
Yeah,
there, and a lot of times it could be our friends, the people that are closest to us, that can be the naysayers,
that's right.
and it's
That's
really
right.
being able to push through that.
Yeah.
So how do you go about pushing through that? How do you overcome those obstacles? Because there are going to be obstacles and challenges along the way.
I
How do
mean,
you overcome those?
truly it's one day at a time. It's
Mm,
one contact or connection at a time. This is what I've learned about American society. We are helpful people.
mm-hmm.
If you ask someone to help you, they will. And this is one of the, I teach candidates how to, I teach people how to fundraise, and nonprofit, anyone how to fundraise. I love raising money. And one of the things that I ask them to say at the end of their, conversation with whoever they're asking money for is, "Can I count on you?" 5 words.
Mm,
And when you say something like that, people always want to be that person that can be counted on.
mm-hmm.
And that is asking people for help. And, let your ego go. Literally just say, "Can you help me? I am looking for this connection or that contact." And I will tell you, anytime that I get into a space where I don't know what's next, I just start calling people that I know and saying, like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this thing. Do you know anyone that you can connect me with?" And it just expands from there. I do this thing, I call it 50 coffees, where when I'm in a transition where I want to do something new but I don't know how, I will literally have 50 coffees with 50 different people. And that's virtual coffees, right? You can do that over Zoom. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
in person, although in person is always great. And I just start asking questions like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think?" Or, "Who do you know?" And then you always just say, "Hey, who can you connect me to?"
Yes, I love that. It's so true. I mean, I think connections are the most important thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Networking and connections with people are so
Yeah.
important, and adding value to them as well. So it's not just
Yes.
of like, oh, I'm taking from them. No, it's really
Yeah.
what can you give to them?
Right.
Start off with that, right? What value can you add to them? And if they're a business owner, what value can you bring to their business?
That's
Or,
right. I
I
very,
think it's
very,
so important.
I very always, very much always start with, "What are you up to? What can I help you with?" Right? Because
Exactly.
once
Exactly.
and people are so often not heard. And if you actually deeply listen to someone and let them share, I mean, you don't know where that conversation is going to go.
So true. So true. You have more of these kinds of connections. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then
I
I
love
want to
it.
share the end of this. When you do 50 coffees or, reach out to your network or whoever you want to talk with, I always end with this because everyone is busy and everyone has, very little time. So if they offered to connect you with someone, make it easy for them to do so, right? So say, hey, would it be okay if I send you a paragraph about me and what I'm looking for you to connect me with so that you can just forward it on to the person that you're introducing me to and copying me? Make it
Mm.
as easy as possible to make that introduction happen. Because so many people, Suzanne, especially if you're meeting with someone that you barely know, you don't know what to say about that person. Oh, I just met Mona and she wants to, go to Mars, like whatever, right? Like,
Right. Right.
you have to make it easy for people. And so if you take the work out of it, you're going to send a paragraph about what you want and you're going to send it to them and they can forward on. Like that's just easy, right? I
Yeah, that's
sometimes I'll
great.
get intros like that, and people ask me for. I always say, ask them to do this. I will literally just forward it on if I'm super in the middle of a bunch of stuff, and just say, "Hey, look forward to you two connecting. Can't wait to hear what happens." Boom.
Yeah, that is so great. I love that tip. Excellent tip. Which brings us
Yeah.
to the next part of this whole show is 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Give us 3 tips, 2 strategies, and 1 action item to pivot our lives forward.
Okay. So I think I've done a little bit of that, but I will say my 3 tips um, that I always like to end my talks with are really some that I've already shared with you. But really, it is the first is that you have to dream big.
Mm.
If you are ready for a pivot and you are ready to sort of get out of your current situation, whatever it is, whatever it's not serving you for whatever reason, what happens to me is I create these big crazy goals, and then I need the next thing. Like I need something. I like to constantly be learning, and so when I'm not
Hmm.
learning, so what is that thing? Dream very big. What is that big dream that you can have? And I always suggest people write it down and tell people, right?
Hmm.
Because that dream is just going to stay with you if you don't talk to people. The second, and this is the most important, and we've talked about this a little bit already, but it is to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever stuff you need to remove and shed layers of doubt and uncertainty and fear and whatever work you need to do on yourself so you can get to the point where you do believe in yourself. I was so determined when I was running for office. I mean, people would say, oh, you can't do it, it's impossible to flip a seat, he's so well liked, he's this, he's that, he's the other thing. I mean, because you can imagine the person I ran against looked the exact opposite of me, right? and
Mm.
and so nobody thought I could do it. And I always joke that there were 12 people in the state of Washington that thought I could do this. And luckily, one of those was me. I knew I could do it if I put my heart, mind, body, and soul into it. And so believing in yourself is absolutely critical. The
Hmm.
third, and I learned this walking a labyrinth one day. I don't know if you know what a labyrinth is, but it's like,
Yes, yes.
right? So
Uh-huh. I
I was
love this.
walking a
Uh-huh.
labyrinth one
Uh-huh.
day, and my business coach at the time said to me before I went to this is a really prominent place in Oregon that had this labyrinth. She said, start with a question. When you start to walk the labyrinth, start with the question. So I was like, at that point, I was like, just graduated from grad school. I was like, what do I want to do with my life? What's next? What's next? What's next? And while I'm walking the labyrinth, and this is in the desert in Oregon, uh, a burr got stuck on my heel. And I just kept saying to myself, keep going, don't stop, like just keep going. And so that was the mantra I was like giving to myself. And I got to the end and I was still saying, keep going. And that was the mantra that I now teach is just keep going. Like you don't know where the heck you're going, but if you just put that one foot in front of the other, you will get there. I mean,
Hmm.
my legacy in the state of Washington, I passed 28 bills in 4 years.
Wow.
I banned plastic bags, styrofoam, and all single-use plastics for the state of Washington. They call me the single-use plastics warrior for the state of Washington. And my bills, and this is the thing I'm most proud of, Suzanne, is that my bills, my legacy is that parts or whole parts of my bill have now been implemented in California, in Oregon, in Hawaii, in New York, in Illinois, like, and my hope is it ripples to the rest of the states. And my hope is that it, does these laws become federal laws soon, because that is how we sustain ourselves, by removing, and we all know about microplastics and how bad they are for us now. And that's my legacy, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of those things had I given up, had I
Mm.
had I had I let the fears creep in, had I let the naysayers creep in, had I let friends and family that said you can't do it in. And if I hadn't just stayed steady and kept that mantra of keep going, if I hadn't done that, none of that would have happened. So
Wow. So what's the
yeah,
one
those are my
action item we
three.
could, yeah. So what is the one action item we can take to pivot our lives forward?
I think my one action item to share today is to tell someone your BHAG. Tell someone your big
Mm.
crazy audacious dream, because it doesn't serve us when it's in our head and we don't say it out loud, because we have our own self-doubts that come in. And my hope is that everyone that's listening to this today tells one person their big crazy dream, no matter how crazy it sounds. I became a senator because I said it out loud.
Cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yay. Let's go. Let's go. Woo, woo, woo. So is there anything else you would like to add to our show? Anything about your
I
business or what you do? Or
Yeah, I do.
yeah.
We didn't talk about the movie that I made. So
Oh, wow.
after
Yeah.
I left
Tell us.
office, I wanted to, believe it or not, I wanted to make bigger impact than the impact that I was making. I knew that I was put on this planet to make larger impact than that. And what I was doing was great and awesome, and I loved it. And I wanted to make bigger change. And for me, I wanted more little Monas out there. And so what I did was I made a movie. It's called Badass Women Doing Kick-Ass Shit. I
I
don't know if you have
love
to
it.
bleep that out.
Let's go. Let's go. Woo. I love that title.
And this movie in particular is about 8 women of color around the country that ran for office. 7 out of the 8 of the women that I featured in my movie did end up winning their races, and
Wow.
many have moved on to higher office, which is awesome.
Yes.
One of the gals called me about 2 weeks ago and told me the really crazy big office she's about to run for. So I can't divulge that, but it's really exciting. And so this movie, yes, it's about politics. Yes, it's about women who ran for office. But really, the movie, Suzanne, is about hope and inspiration and resilience and grit and tenacity and doing the thing, doing your big BHAG, doing your crazy thing. And these are 7 other women. I'm in the movie as well. 7 other women who did it. Regardless, I mean, the one woman who didn't win, she still did it, right? Many people have a dream to do it and they don't do it. So that's one thing I'd love to share. And we got a distribution deal last year.
Oh,
So you can
wow.
watch the movie on Amazon Prime, Apple TV,
Oh, that's
YouTube.
cool.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So if you search "badass," I think you'll probably include the link in the show notes.
Yes,
So,
we will. We will.
yeah. So yeah, I
Definitely.
would love for y'all to watch it and get inspired. And we go around the country and show the movie to inspire others. I'm doing the movie in October in Seattle as a fundraiser for a nonprofit organization that does films. So I love doing that. I love showing the movie and speaking. I love that. And the other thing that I do is I work with women and folks who want to make greater impact but don't know how. And I help them make that big change that they want to make. A lot of times, once you get to a certain level, legislation is needed to continue making that impact for communities around your state. And that's something I'm uniquely qualified to do, since I got 28 bills through the Senate, the House, and the governor's desk to sign into law. I know a little bit about how to do that.
Yeah, I think you do. That's amazing. Absolutely. Well, Thank you so much for being on our show. We really appreciate you and all that you've done. I mean, 28 bills, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Such an inspiration, such a motivation for all of us. Thanks again, Mona. We really
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much for having me. It was
Yeah,
lovely to be with you
thank
today.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
And to our audience watching, we thank you for being on our, watching our show every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Live life abundantly. You can live your best life. Pivot now. Change and shift your energy. Pivot